Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan. When the prequel series came out, I was just a kid, and in all honesty, Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, was my favorite movie. Why? Well, I liked the clones and the gigantic battle of Geonosis, and I liked Natalie Portman in her combat uniform. But other than that, I was pretty much clueless. It wasn't until I was older that I realized just how terrible the dialogue in the film was.
I can't breathe. I'm haunted by the kiss that you should never have given me.
And how off the pacing was as well. And just how boring the film was for a Star Wars movie. But then I started watching some of the Clone Wars cartoons and reading a few of the books, especially Darth Plagueis, and things began connecting in the background. Now sure, most of it was planned in hindsight, or retconning, but suddenly Attack of the Clones wasn't just a subpar Star Wars film, it was the beginning of one of the most well-planned political takeovers I'd ever seen. Palpatine was a political mastermind. The clones and their service for the Republic, a heart-wrenching tale of pure obedience and loyalty. And Natalie Portman, still great. Now ideally a film should be able to pique your interest without all of that background content supporting novels and TV series. But the point is, the prequels, after considerable amounts of additional content, started shaping into one of the greatest periods in Star Wars history. And it was with that mindset I started looking at the Resistance TV show that just started a few days ago. For one, Dave Filoni knows Star Wars content better than anyone. And two, the new art style is pretty cool. It's too early for us to do a full review of the series, but I'll say this, I felt like I was watching Titan AE or Treasure Planet crossed with Star Wars. It's definitely a series for kids, but in a good way. And again, it's a great opportunity to see more Dave Filoni content, and I'm excited to see where this all goes. But perhaps one of the coolest things about the new series is that it surrounds a New Republic fighter pilot named Kaz, who then joins the Resistance. Since the end of The Force Awakens, I've been looking for as much information about the First Order, the New Republic, and the Resistance as possible, especially after seeing this. I wanted to know more. What was the New Republic like? What was their military like? And how did they respond after the First Order attack on Hosnian Prime? That's what I expected to see in The Last Jedi, the wider galaxy and the response to the First Order threat. But instead, we got a very focused plot surrounding a few ships chasing each other. Basically Mad Max Fury Road in space. Now, through some awesome books like Phasma, we got to see more of the inner workings of the First Order and how it was built and how it functioned, but we still don't really know anything about the New Republic military. So my sincere hope for the Resistance cartoon is that we will finally be able to find out some more information about the New Republic military. Anyway, today I want to talk a little bit more about what the New Republic thinks about the Resistance, and we're going to start off with the New Republic military. The New Republic technically started during the end of the Galactic Civil War. At some point in time after the Battle of Endor and before the Battle of Jakku, the Rebel Alliance became the New Republic, and that was also sadly the height of their military power. Right around the Battle of Jakku, we began seeing the MC-1 Starhawk, which was the first capital ship designed by the New Republic. It was made from repurposed Star Destroyer parts. Unfortunately, we never really get to see a picture of this ship, and we probably never will now. Because Mon Mothma's government adopted extremely soft measures after the conflict, and after the Galactic Concordance Treaty with the Imperial Remnant, she disarmed the New Republic fleet, and the galaxy fell into a Cold War. Well, the New Republic didn't know what was going on, but the First Order definitely did. As the First Order grew in strength, the New Republic maintained a token fleet, with the majority of their resources being diverted to funding regional defense forces. Now, in the beginning of the Resistance cartoon, we see the New Republic Starfighter Corps for the first time. Kazuto Xiono and two other pilots are flying the new generation T-85 X-Wings on a mission to deliver an important message to the Resistance agent Poe Dameron. So right off the bat, we know that some members of the New Republic Navy are still sympathetic to the Resistance's cause. Individuals who are high-ranking enough in the command chains to authorize a mission like the one Kazuto is on. So why is this important? Well, we have to go to the root of how the Resistance was created. After the Galactic Civil War, the New Republic government flourishes for a time under the strong leadership of Mon Mothma, but once she steps down, a series of weak and incompetent chancellors caused the Senate to split into partisan bickering. Two unofficial factions emerged, the Populists and the Centrists. The Populists were pro-states' rights and wanted limited government. They were basically like the libertarians of the Star Wars galaxy. There is a left-leaning portion of the Populists and a right-leaning portion of the Populists. Think Bernie Sanders and Ron Paul. Individuals like Leia Organa were populists. She also believed in a stronger federal military in case of external threats, while some more extreme populists wanted to dissolve the government completely. Across the board, populists hated imperialists and authoritarian governments. The centrists were for a larger federal government and military. They were also split between left-wing and right-wing. Think Clinton and the Bushes. While the extreme left in the centrist program wanted a larger government and more federal programs, some in the extreme right camp actually were neo-imperialist. They believed the empire had the right idea, but just failed to implement their strategy in the right way. It should come to no surprise that some centrist leaders in the more extreme factions were actually supporting the First Order. One centrist leader, Lady Carosindian, found out that Leia Organa's true father was Darth Vader. Yeah, this was not widely known in the New Republic. And the redemption of Darth Vader also wasn't widely known.
Tell your sister you were right.
So he wasn't really excused from the war crimes that he committed during the Galactic Civil War. Many people still consider Darth Vader an evil historic figure, much like the high-ranking officers of the Nazi Party post-World War II. Anyway, Lady Sindian released this information and, well, let's just say the public reacts poorly to this news and Leia is forced to withdraw from politics. This was really bad time for Leia because she had just uncovered proof that the First Order existed, and there was also the possibility that the First Order was collaborating with someone within the New Republic government. This is a really interesting story, and we did an entire video about it. You can check that out in the top right corner. Anyway, with the populace wary of starting another galactic-wide war, and with some centrists supporting the First Order secretly, Leia was discredited and couldn't convince the Senate to authorize the New Republic military to investigate the First Order, which is why she formed the Resistance. Luckily, many of her old rebellion friends hadn't forgotten who she was and what she had sacrificed for the galaxy, and believed her. So probably only the right-leaning populists and the ones that were very loyal to Leia probably believed her that the First Order was coming back and actually supported her actions. Unfortunately, the majority of senators in both parties did see Leia and her Resistance as an extremist paramilitary group and even warmongers. Some accused Leia of trying to relive the rebellion days in order to gain more power, while others saw the Resistance as a terrorist vigilante organization. Now back to the New Republic military. It was also most likely split between individuals with different political leanings. Obviously, some individuals were actively supporting the Resistance and feeding them information, as we mentioned before. With their funding cut and their leaders refusing to engage the First Order, I'm sure a lot of New Republic Navy members were frustrated by their government's inaction. Pilots like Kaz even expressed adoration for Resistance pilots like Poe Dameron. Young pilots like him saw the Resistance as former rebellion heroes and individuals free from bureaucracy. They basically looked up to them.
Come on! Whoa! Oh, Dameron!
He grew up reading about the T-65 X-Wing of the Rebellion era, and he basically has a huge fanboy moment when he boards a C-90 Corvette from the Rebellion era.
It's unbelievable. I never thought I'd see one of these, let alone be on board.
It's a classic. This old girl saw action from the Battle of Scarif all the way up to Jakku.
I can't believe I'm really here on a Resistance ship with Poe Dameron. You're the pilot everybody talks about back home.
Kaz really loved the New Republic because it was his home, and he saw the Resistance as the only way to take the fight to the First Order.
And I grew up in the New Republic. It's my home, it's everything I know. I want the chance to fight for it.
Meanwhile, Kaz's father disapproved of the Resistance. He was a senator in the New Republic government and wanted Kaz to have a career in the New Republic Navy.
Father, it's Kazuda.
Kazuda, where are you? Why can't I see you?
I had to scramble the signal because I'm with the Resistance.
The Resistance? Those extremists? What have you gotten yourself mixed up in this time?
And that was probably most people's point of view on the whole situation. Very few people understood how dangerous of a threat the First Order was, so they saw the Resistance as an unnecessary organization, or even worse, an organization full of crazy fanatics that wanted war to return to the galaxy. And if the New Republic Senate didn't know what was happening, well, the average citizen knew even less.
Kaz, the average person doesn't even know about the Resistance.
So guys, that's what the New Republic thinks about the Resistance. Now, I'm sure that will change during episode 9 as we find out more information about what is going on in the wider galaxy. In order to make us care more about the characters and factions we see on screen, we have to first be able to understand who they were. So hopefully the Resistance cartoon can build interest in the sequel era in the same way that the Clone Wars cartoon did for the prequels. It definitely has a lot of work to do, but if anyone can make us love Star Wars again, That's Dave Filoni, one of the old guard from the George Lucas era. Well guys, that is our video for the day. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button so you don't miss out on the rest of our awesome content. As usual, thanks for joining us today. If you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.